Good morning. Wednesday morning, December 8th, and I'm not alone up on the hill today. I don't know if you could see that, but there's a lot of turkeys up here with me. Yeah, there's at least a dozen toms when I came up on the hill, and then up from this side of the hill come probably 7 or 8 hens. Oh, so they're all very happy to get, right now they're all together. Deanne Fine, good morning. Daryl and Suzanne, welcome this morning. So, yeah, I love watching them interact, and the sounds they make are just so fun. Barbara Richardson, Jan Akins, good morning. Steve and Andrea Hauser, welcome this morning. So what happens when the hens and the toms get together, not only do they make a lot of sounds, but the toms start puffing up, and then they start kind of going after each other, to establish dominance and so on. That's all going on right over here to my left. There's my mom, good morning to you. I'm still in Luke this morning, Luke chapter 1. I just wanted to make one more observations before we went on to something new. Jim and Kathy, good morning to you. By the way, Jim and Kathy, I recognized this morning, I was looking at something, and your wedding anniversary was Monday. Happy anniversary. I didn't mention that on Monday. Didn't know until this morning. So hope you had a great day celebrating each other. Mike and Joe Stromberg. Kyle Myers, good morning to you. All the way, well, good evening to you, Kyle. There in India, in Delhi. So I'm in Luke 1, and I want to make just a simple observation that I just think is so practical for us this morning. It's so important to me, and it's a part of kind of my love language, I guess, if you could say that, and it has to do with words of affirmation. So the last couple of days we've been talking about Mary and her experience having now carrying the child of Jesus, and the loss of her reputation, and her choosing the greater value of carrying the Messiah and bringing the Messiah in the world, and Elizabeth, her cousin, having been barren, not able to have kids for years, and then God blessing her with a child, and that child would be the forerunner of Messiah. We've talked about that this week. I just want to revisit and kind of draw attention to one part of the story that I think is so important, is when Mary went to Elizabeth in the early months of her pregnancy, and she went to stay with Elizabeth for about 3 months. And I have conjectured that I think that her going away initially was to kind of even escape the rumors about Mary's pregnancy, to go to normally you just stay in your own household, but to go to another person's house for a period of time is to kind of, I imagine, it could very well be because of the rumors of how Mary got pregnant and so on. Not everybody believed it, and she's doing this by faith, but her reputation, her whole family's reputation is, there's a shadow cast on it, and all those things. We've talked about that. But so that's the context, just as a reminder. And she comes to Elizabeth, and when Elizabeth, who's pregnant with John the Baptist, sees Mary, and they have a greeting together, John, the baby in Elizabeth's womb, leaps for joy, according to Elizabeth, and filled with the Holy Spirit, she says 2 things that I think is really important. The first thing she says, having been filled by the Holy Spirit, she said this to Mary: "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb." And the second thing I want to point out that she says, after she explains how the baby in her womb leaped for joy when they heard Mary's voice. She says, blessed are you. And he said, and she pronounces the second blessing. Blessing is she who believed that there would be a fulfillment to what was spoken to her from the Lord. Now, we've talked about both of these statements this week. But what I want to draw attention to this morning is how important these words would have felt to Mary. Mary's has been given, she's been visited by an angel telling her these things. She believed what the angel said, though initially she said, this is impossible. How can this be? But she believed by faith. She said, all right, I'm your bondservant. Do to me what you want, Lord. I'm yours. And so God allows her to be pregnant, and all these things happen. So if she's going to Elizabeth to kind of escape rumors, the first thing she hears from Elizabeth's mouth is, you are blessed. And Elizabeth says, how blessed am I that you would visit me? I mean, realize that someone who with a damaged reputation, or brought shame into the household, and they're going to visit you, by association, they're bringing that shame onto your household. But that's not Mary's response. Mary's response, guided by the Holy Spirit, is, wow, I'm blessed that you're here. This is amazing. And you are playing such an important role, Mary. And blessed are you who believed that this could even happen. And you took on this role. These are words of validation. These are words of affirmation that are so vital. They would have been so. Do you hear all that? There's a lot of action going on to my left right now. The hens and the toms are very interested in each other right now. So I'm sorry, easily distracted. So these are words of affirmation, words of validation, that Mary believes something, that she's willing to put her reputation on the stake, on the line, and she is all in, right? And not everybody believes her, but here is Elizabeth, who is, that's a hen, by the way. I could do a whole class on the sounds turkeys make. I used to hunt turkeys all the time, and the sounds are just awesome. I don't hunt them anymore, but I love watching them. Maybe just pan a little bit. I'm sorry, this is such a bad distraction, but they're still right here on the other side of my pickup. So, maybe, I'm so distracted by this. I'm sorry. Let me get to my point. We need to hear the words of validation from people. We bear in our heart, we bear burdens in our life. We feel things. We believe things to be true, and it's so important, especially in our young years, for other important voices to affirm, to say what you're going through is real. I see you. I see your heart. I see your character. And to bring forth and validate your character in moments where especially when we're being tested, is so vital to our own personal development, especially as kids. That's why teachers play such important roles. That's why coaches play such important roles, and chief of all is parents, and how we affirm and validate certain things in our children that we validating and affirming. We're assigning value to character traits and experiences. When they display great character, we affirm that. When they're going through something difficult and their emotions are kind of all over the place, we help them regulate their emotions, because at a very young age we have a very hard time regulating our emotions, and so as an adult we see them, we attune to one another's emotions, what we're going through, and we validate, saying, this is hard. I see you. I understand what you're going through. Both of these things, I think, are happening when Elizabeth greets Mary. Mary is fairly young. We don't know exactly how old she is. But I just want to bring the human side of this. This was a hard thing for Mary. And to display such character, to display such courage, such faith, and then to have a trusted friend, a cousin, a family member, an older family member, affirm and validate this. I see what you're going through. I see what you're feeling, and I see the great faith that is on display in your life. And for Elizabeth to say, I value that greatly. And when few other people were seeing the same thing, maybe many people were kind of casting shadows on what Mary was experiencing. So that's my thought for today. Our words are powerful, especially words of validation and especially words of affirmation. And God allows us to, He put in us this need and how we are seen and how we are developed. And we have the power as human beings to speak this to one another. God certainly sees right where we're at. When we're going through a particular challenge or we're exhibiting faith, God sees that. He validates. He affirms. And so we are just doing, in like character to God. We are made in His image. We have the Spirit of God in us if we have placed our faith in Jesus. And we take those same kinds of words and we speak them to one another, and especially to children. And so I hope you're enjoying your December, your Christmas month. I know I am. Looking forward to the weeks ahead. Be blessed today, and we will see you again, God willing, tomorrow morning.